Welcome back to Movie Recapped. Today I will show you an action, comedy, horror film from 2020, titled Triggered. Spoilers ahead. Watch out and take care. 9 former high school friends reunite for a camping trip in the woods and do not expect that a vengeful science teacher has planned a dreadful game for them. The friends, all of whom are hiding dark secrets from each other, will have to turn against each other in order to survive when there is only one thing sure: only one person will get out of the woods alive. The 9 friends are sitting around a bonfire, talking and laughing. They haven't seen each other in a long time, and although they can't seem to agree on whether or not spending a night in the woods was a good idea instead of spending it at a cheap motel 30 miles away, they all seem happy to finally be together again. Ryan is the smartest in the group and was the valedictorian back in the day. She is still with her high school boyfriend PJ, a rock drummer. Popular boy Ezra and his girlfriend Cece are also still together but have a less steady relationship. Shay and Bobby are also still a couple, as are Amber and the brooding Kato. Lastly, Erin is the wallflower of the group and a quiet girl. Cece seems to be in a foul mood that night, is jumpy and even lies to get away from her friends and drink in her tent. While Cece is away, the rest of the group are discussing her behavior, and Kato remembers how vengeful she can be from high school. When Amber, who is Cece's best friend, approaches her and tries to figure out why she is so snappy, Cece reveals that she thinks Ezra is cheating on her. Meanwhile, Erin is not exactly jolly either, because being back in the group reminds her of her high school years and her unhappiest memories. Her high school boyfriend Caleb had a heart condition, and at one of Ezra's parties, he consumed too much speed and overdosed. During high school, she also went out with Kato, who is not completely over her and does not seem understanding of her situation. The group is slowly trying to turn in for the night when Erin notices a mysterious figure wandering in the woods. She tries to run away from the man, but he quickly catches up to her and knocks her out. The 9 friends awaken and find themselves wearing vests. They realize they were gassed to stay asleep, and now both the cars and Bobby are nowhere to be found. A hooded man emerges from the woods and is holding a gun. All of them soon recognize him as their former high school science teacher and Caleb's father, Mr. Peterson. He hasn't taught the 9 of them in a long time, but he promises this will be their last lesson. As Ryan tries to take the vest off of PJ, Mr. Peterson assures them that the vests are industrially made and will not come off. Mr. Peterson doesn't clarify why he is doing what he is to those specific former students, but one thing is sure: after his son's death and his wife's suicide, he seeks revenge from those who he says caused it all. He only presses a button and automatically in the center of each vest a screen lights up. He announces that only one of the 9 friends will get out of the woods alive, and that will be the person whose timer is higher. After this, Mr. Peterson turns the gunpoint to his mouth and shoots with no hesitation. The 8 of them are in shock by this turn of events, but soon they all notice that the screens on their vests now show a timer counting backwards. Everyone has a different time on them and different lights representing how much time they have. Shay's vest, having the largest amount of time, lights up blue while everyone else's is green. Ryan is sure that Bobby, whose idea was to reunite the high school group in the first place, was the one that led them here in Mr. Peterson's bidding. As the voice of reason, she also says that Mr. Peterson must have driven a car to the woods, and therefore they should find the car and ride somewhere where they can call for help and take the vests out. The 8 of them split up, but Ezra lingers behind for a second and snatches Mr. Peterson's empty gun. As he walks around in the woods, he stumbles on Bobby, who had been tied up and chained to a tree with his vest glowing red. Erin still thinks that he was Mr. Peterson's accomplice, but Shay insists that they should let him go. As the girls are arguing, Bobby breaks and admits that Peterson threatened him to bring his friends to the woods. Mr. Peterson knew Bobby was secretly bisexual and had photos to prove that, which he threatened to disclose if he didn't do whatever he said. However, before Bobby can explain more about the rules of the vile game Mr. Peterson has created, the timer on his chest runs out and an explosion blows him up. In their terror, the 8 friends split up. As he is running in the woods, PJ's vest lights up red, indicating that he has the least amount of time amongst the 8 of them. He screams for his girlfriend's name at the top of his lungs, and when she finds him, PJ begs her for help. After all, Ryan is the smartest in the group, and now PJ's timer is showing only 3 minutes. PJ takes a leap backwards to protect his girlfriend from the explosion, but at that moment Shay shows up behind him and he accidentally knocks her out with his torch. Blood gushes from her scalp as she falls down, and PJ and Ryan watch in terror. When Shay dies, the screen on her vest goes black and her time is added to PJ's vest. Now he is the one with the largest amount of time and his vest is glowing blue. PJ is shaken by what he just did, even though it was unintentional, but Ryan reminds him that they have to meet the others. When they find them and explain what happened, they all realize that they have to steal each other's time by killing each other in order to stay alive. The vest that is closer to the person who is killed gains the remaining time. Each of them starts thinking of different ways to survive this game. Ryan still thinks it's possible for all of them to survive this game if only they can get some help. Kato, on the other hand, is already aggressive and already sees that everyone is turning against each other. Lastly, Aaron thinks it's better if they just split up so that no one is tempted to harm each other. While all of them are discussing, there is someone missing. Cece is now the one whose vest is triggered red with the least amount of time, and she is readying her weapon. She runs straight towards Ezra since she would have the least regrets about killing him. She feels betrayed by his infidelity and wants to take him out, but for now, her aim misses. The group scatters once again. Ezra finds Aaron alone in the woods with a proposition. Everyone seems to have their teammates but them, and Ezra is desperate to have an ally. He proposes they find the road so that they can get back to civilization. Meanwhile, Ryan and PJ are back in the tents, and Ryan is looking for a spare cell phone she always packs with her when she goes out camping. PJ also finds a pocket knife that might come in handy. However, soon they notice Cece's red light approaching and then they hide. Cece seems feral, stumbling around the forest looking for some way to prolong her life, and finds a kitchen knife someone had brought with them. PJ is still looking for the cell phone and makes some noise with a broken zipper. Cece turns around but gets distracted when she hears another couple somewhere in the woods. Thankfully, PJ is now holding the phone in his hand, but it has no service. He and Ryan decide to get out of the woods where they can call for help. After all, Ryan's father is a police officer and should be able to help. Meanwhile, Cece is hiding in the woods and waits for the right opportunity to attack Kato and Amber, who are passing by. She doesn't want to kill her best friend, so she stabs Kato on the thigh and gets on top of him. However, Kato is determined to get away alive, so he reveals Amber's secret, that she is the one with whom Ezra cheated on Cece. Cece turns her attention to Amber now, and at the last moment before being killed, Amber reveals that she is pregnant. Cece doesn't believe her in the least and stabs her below the stomach. Although the wound is deep, Amber still has the strength to draw the kitchen knife out of her and slash Cece's throat open. Now Amber holds the blue vest and Aaron is the new red one. Everyone wearing a vest knows that someone has died, but no explosion has been heard in the woods, making it known that someone has started murdering their friends. Surprised by what she is able to do, Amber tells Kato that they are the only ones who admit to themselves that they have to kill to win. Therefore, their new plan is to kill everyone, gain everyone's time, and then find a way to both escape alive. In the meantime, once Ryan gets some signal on the cell phone, she tries to call her father, who is persistently not picking up. This alerts Ryan, who knows her father would always answer his phone, so she tracks his phone, only to realize that he is only 400 yards away. While Aaron and Ezra are running in the woods, they are the first ones to discover Ryan's father tied up on a tree, wearing a vest like their own. Mr. Miller is drenched in blood, and he reveals that Mr. Peterson was seeking revenge on him as well. Mr. Miller was the man that ruled Caleb's death as natural, but Mr. Peterson remained unconvinced. He conducted further investigations and blood tests and discovered that on top of Caleb's heart condition that killed him in combination with substance abuse, he had consumed 5 times the lethal dose of the drug that killed him. This could only mean that someone had been drugging him the night of his death, and Caleb's death was not just an overdose case but in fact a murder. At the same moment, Kato finds Ryan and PJ trying to find some signal in the woods. At once the couple tries to run from him despite him saying that he is hurt in order to hide his true intentions. PJ, who thinks Kato is not a threat, wants to talk to him, but when he sees him carrying an axe, he realizes he has been fooled. Kato says it's nothing personal and that it's not PJ that he hates but the game itself. PJ tries to talk some reason into Kato, but the fight is inevitable, and when Kato tries to smack PJ down with his axe, he ends up only sticking it to a wood trunk behind him. After the axe is stuck there, Kato has to attack with his fists. Thankfully, PJ still has his pocket knife with him, and although Kato has completely broken his hands, he is able to stab him on the foot and run away. Before Ryan can help, her boyfriend Amber attacks her from behind her back. One punch on Amber's nose only makes her more infuriated, but Ryan had the time to get away. Meanwhile, Ezra and Aaron are trying to carry Mr. Miller back to the camp where there is a first aid kit, but he is badly hurt and bleeding uncontrollably. Ezra has lost all hope of helping him and is loading the gun he had picked from Mr. Peterson's body, while Aaron now hopelessly tries to contact 911 on Mr. Miller's phone before it completely dies. Aaron tries to extract any last information from Mr. Miller. All he knows is that Peterson had 2 remote controls, one to activate the vests and one to turn them off, which should probably still be on Peterson's body. By now Ezra is sure that Mr. Miller's time is wasted, and, to get Aaron off her triggered red state, he shoots him, making sure Aaron is the one closest to him. Even though Aaron is now the one with the most time, she is repulsed by how cold-blooded Ezra has acted. However, Ezra, who now has the least time left in this game, hands her the gun and advises her to use it to survive. He vanishes in the woods after announcing that he thinks he knows who murdered Caleb. After being left alone, Aaron meets PJ and Ryan. Ryan is still searching for her father after tracking his phone. Aaron tells her that her father was not going to make it and that she just witnessed his death. Aaron is completely shaken by this turn of events, but knows that the time is running out and the new information about the remote control that turns the vests off doesn't leave her time to grieve. The 3 of them part ways. When the couple is left alone to go back to the camp, PJ realizes that their time might be running out once and for all, so he decides to propose to Ryan. Meanwhile, Ezra, sure that Kato is the one that murdered Caleb, is shouting his name in the woods. When the two of them meet, Ezra confronts him about his suspicions. He says that Kato would have the most motives to kill Caleb because not only did he loathe him, but he was also jealous that he was with Aaron. On the night of the party, he had ordered drugs and begged Ezra not to reveal this to the police after Caleb's death. Kato never admits to these accusations and only blames Ezra for being equally vile, since he will only kill him to steal his time. But this is not Ezra's only purpose. He wants justice for what has been done and for the reason why this whole game started in the first place. He tries to take Kato down with the axe but is only able to create a deep wound on his cheek. For a moment Kato seems to surrender, only to make Ezra lower his guard. He proclaims that he never killed Caleb and he slits Ezra's throat open with a crowbar. This only gives Kato a few seconds and now he is the one wearing the triggered vest. While Aaron is looking for Ezra, she finds Amber stumbling in the woods. At first, she acts wounded to make Aaron close up and then she gets on top of Aaron to stab her face with a knife. Aaron's screams are heard throughout the woods and reach PJ, who leaves Ryan to come to her aid. When Aaron escapes her grasp, Amber stabs the back of her thigh. Thankfully, this is when PJ shows up and is able to pick up the gin Ezra had given Aaron. He threatens Amber not to move and tells Aaron to run back to the camp with Ryan. PJ struggles to even point the gun at Amber because he is the only one who has always refused to play along in this game. When Kato shows up to help his ally, PJ tells them both to follow him to the camp where they might have a chance of deactivating the vests with the remote control. However, Kato does not like to take any chances, and after all, he is the one with the least amount of time. He attacks him with the axe he has just killed Ezra with, and PJ hardly fight back and rather shouts for him to stop, reminding him that they are like brothers. Kato acts remorseful for a second only to pick up the gun that is now lying near his feet and shoots defenseless PJ right on the head. Now that Kato has taken one friend out of the way and his timer is showing just over a quarter of an hour, he finds it is time to turn to Amber too. Greedily and unremorsefully he raises his axe and lands it on her, now claiming the first place. Ryan is running towards the camp, terrified since she is the one who is on red now. She searches Peterson's body and finds the remote control, but when she presses it, all the vests simultaneously turn red and the timers are set to the lowest time. Aaron, who arrives at the camping spot at that moment, suggests pressing the button again, but Ryan says it is too dangerous. After all, Peterson seems to have accounted for everything and another press could mean death to every player. The girls run back to the woods to find PJ, but instead find Kato, who tells them both PJ and Ezra are dead and he is not afraid to admit that he is the one that killed them. Ryan, desperate over her boyfriend's loss, attacks and sticks a pocket knife on Kato's bicep. After the girls have escaped in the woods, a sudden realization hits Ryan. Even if they both kill Kato, the time would not be enough to change the rules or find a way out of the game by now. She realizes that one of them has to die and she turns the gun to Aaron's head. She doubts that Aaron has told Ryan the whole truth about how her father died and suspects he didn't simply bleed out. Aaron swears on her life that it was not her that killed Mr. Miller but Ezra. She even blames herself for the whole situation because she was the one who introduced the whole group to Caleb. This is when Ryan breaks and admits that she was the one who killed Caleb because they were both close to being valedictorians. Ryan, wanting to have the highest GPA in order to get a scholarship, decided to drug him just enough so he could get disqualified after a drug test. However, she messed up the dosage calculations and ended up accidentally killing him, so she had to have her father cover it up. In a moment of self-defiance, she recognizes that Aaron deserves to survive the game more than her, gives her the gun and gives her permission to kill her. Aaron, however, doesn't even have the time to think about that possibility, since Kato, who has been eavesdropping in the background, attacks with a knife and punches it into Ryan's eyeball. Kato is shouting in triumph and picks up his axe, as Ryan slides to Aaron's arms so that she can die there and give her her remaining time. Kato rages when she realizes Aaron is now winning the game, but he doesn't think she is capable of actually committing murder. He tries to demean her, remind her that she was always the wallflower, a mute girl that never stood up for herself. The time is ticking and Aaron realizes that she doesn't have to kill Kato. She only has to outlast him. She shoots on both his knees and then watches him scream as he falls down in agony. Kato cannot believe that he is defeated after how many people he has killed and even considers killing himself right before his timer goes off and he explodes in pieces. Aaron's timer stops. "Congratulations," it says. The winner of the game screams for help. All her friends, or enemies, are dead and she has survived. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can watch more videos like this. Thanks for watching.